welcome. I want to welcome each and every one of you here tonight. We're going to be talking about alien hybrids and could they be walking among us? And I know oftentimes we hear people say, well, they ain't even here, but they are here. And we're going to go into that concept tonight. And what if it's true? What if there is some plan, some plot where the aliens are walking among us, okay? And then how would anybody, deal with that? And other question is why, and not how are they doing it. We know how they could be doing it by crossing the species. But the other question is why would they be doing it? Now, we've talked about this in the last couple of shows where some of these alien coming from these distant stars like Betelgeuse and different places are saying that their world is ending, is uninhabitable. And so therefore, they are trying to find a new place to live. And if they want to walk among us, they got to somehow, some kind of way fit in with us. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do. All right, so get ready for the show tonight. We're going to be dealing with that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to hit right into a few things. So I hope you're ready. And again, I want to welcome you to High Strangeness, because what you're about to hear in a few moments, you may not believe it.
Objects in the sky. We don't know exactly what they are.
Of landing a man on the moon. Of landing a man on the moon.
Anyone been murdered?
I have to be careful asking that question.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Your eyes is useless when your mind is blind. All right, so we're going to hop right into our first segment. And this is going to be totally about unveiling the hypothesis behind this. And we're going to set the stage a little bit about what could be, and could these aliens be walking among us? And why would they do that? Like I said, one of the things we're going to do is just kind of explore the reason, and I just touched on it at the beginning of the show, is that in some cases, in some of the stories that we've heard, is that their planet is not doing as well, or they're wherever they come from, and therefore they want to have a new place to thrive. Now, why was that? Well, because Earth, number one, is a young planet. Earth has not been around a long time as much as the galaxy has, and probably some of these extraterrestrials are aliens. And how do we know that? Because they are coming here with advanced technology, and technology that we have not created yet on this planet, meaning we are definitely behind what's going on a technological side of things. And so that lets you know, number one. Now, the other part of this is we've always had eyewitnesses out there, people who have did stories and talk about these things. And they have said stuff about, how would we, how would it go? People claim, I saw an alien, or I saw this as well. And then you can have it on what I more call a spiritual level, where most people don't think about this, right? And why would it be spiritually? And for that, I want to share a couple of things with you right now. This is, and make sure you subscribe to the Twitter. Now, one of the things, these are a couple of posts that I want you to go look at on Twitter. They're on my page, which is Roderick Martin. If you go to Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. One in particular is Bob Lazar, and the other one is Tucker Carlson. And they're both are talking about the religious aspect. And what Bob Lazar says is that on the religious side of things, that we are in these biological suits, and that the religion was formed to take care of these suits. And then, of course, Tucker Carlson talks about the fact that there could be some hybrids in religions and everything else. I only wanted to point that out just to get you back into the mindset of all of these things and how this ties in together. And so definitely pay attention to that once it goes down where we're going. Now, let's dive deeper into the ideas that aliens might want to create hybrids. Let's think of a few. I'm just coming off the top of my head. Why would they want to create hybrids in any kind of way? Well, I would assume that, like I said, they want to blend in. Or maybe they want to do the species a lot more justice than has been done. I don't, that'd be something I would think about. What do you think? I think on the most part, though, it is maybe to improve the species. Like I said before, that the human species supposedly coming from historical factors and all of the ancient civilization, Anunnaki and all, we actually was created in such a way that this is supposed to be a kind of like almost a good, perfect situation. Now, I know when we talk about some of the extraterrestrials and they no longer need for food, or they speak in conscious, and that's more evolution. That is us evolving to a higher conscious state. But as far as the body itself and the things that we could do, there could be a totally different, thing about it. Now, I will say this though. Let me back up for a minute. We do have a life expectancy 70, 100 years as humans. These extraterrestrials appear to be living for 1,000 years. And so therefore the whole premonition that our bodies will last forever, that will probably be the other downside of it. But what if some of these hybrid programs is designed that they want to increase life expectancy? Take some of the good parts of us with some of the good parts of them, and you create the special species or whatever you want to create. There was a movie out there, I forget the one, where the guy ended up going to Mars and then he started evolving where he can breathe underwater. If you know about that movie, definitely put it into the chat. I forget the name of it, but it was pretty good when it came down to those things. I think one of the things is to also look into, other reasons, hybrids. Now, we're talking about interplanetary species. So maybe they're making a new species and then they want to take that species to another planet, seed another planet. And therefore, again, the human species is one of the things. Now, we can go back into the Anunnaki side of things, right? We can go back to when they talked about the Anunnakis was in love with the women of men, and then the giants, right? And then they bred with those women and formed all these new babies like Shaq and Tim Duncan and all these people. I don't know, but they did it. Obviously, that's the bloodline from it. Okay. But where I'm going with that is, I think at the end of the day, we have to know that there's an agenda behind it, and that agenda is pretty leveled out when it comes down to this. And there's something like, again, for us to think about once you start looking into the alien hybrid things. But now, if you got any questions or you got a scenario for those of you, put it in the chat. Maybe that's one of the things that you probably experienced, because there's a lot of women out there or men and who claim to have hybrid babies. There's women out there who claim to have had hybrid babies. I used to interview people on Clubhouse, and they used to come on stage, and there was women talk about they have 4, 5, 6 hybrid babies that are not here. Of course, we can't verify those things, but they did say, hey, they're up in a spaceship and they don't look right enough to come. So obviously the breeding program is not flawless. It does go with some hinges there, but not all of them come out perfect. But if they did come out with a perfect one, then what would it look like? And I think at this point, I will kind of put my little 2 cents in if they were to say, okay, here. So we're talking about their accomplishments is trying to produce a good-looking baby. But even good-looking, how do we define that these days, right? How do we define what would be a good-looking alien as opposed to a well-designed human hybrid species that can evolve on the planet in different type of climates and weather conditions, of course, and extreme work under extreme pressure and function and all of these things. And you would think that will be a scientific approach when it comes down to this. And that's exactly how I would probably look at it from there. But I will say this, what if it's happening right now? What if it is happening right now? And what would you do about it? And what can we do about it? And if there's heading for disclosure, would our government even tell us? Now, you got to remember, I probably did this about 6 months ago. I did a report on how women through the government were reported being pregnant by extraterrestrials. Now, I can imagine, and this is my humor side of it, is what would happen if all of a sudden we dealing with a point to where, these babies, I mean, who pay child support for it? If woman walks up and say, hey, I'm pregnant by an alien, and go over to get some whatever, who's going to pay child support for that, right? Or what happens? We know the shows, Margaret Parvick, and that what is that? The court, the lady does the, if it's your baby court, I forget what they call paternity court. Could you imagine her reading Mr. Alien by the whatever, and DNA, whatever, you are not the father, and he's pissed, and he gets and throw a tantrum or get back on his spacecraft, or you are the father. I mean, it's one of these things that's our future. That is the future. That is what we're heading. Whether you like it or not, that is where we're heading, and I think that's something that we have to look into it for there. But in the meantime, we'll get into another part of this. Now, I would like to say that, out of, full thoughts here, one of the things is, what kind of shock would it be to the community if a disclosure was happening, and the fact that we do have a possibility of extraterrestrial people walking among us? What would people say? What would be the what I would call the ethical side of it? What would be the scientific implications of it? What about society? We'll start with society. I don't think people will probably really take that too well. And why did I say that? Is because we already know we come in different shades and colors now walking this earth, different religious backgrounds, and wars are being fought over that already. So could you imagine adding to that a whole nother element, a whole different look? Then all of a sudden that one hybrid starts talking. We've seen a movie of mutants with Professor X and X-Men and all, how they was treating people. But where I'm going with this is, in the real world though, you're talking about religion, you're talking about a lot of those things that will probably be a problem. And I think that it's not going to go well. I don't think it will go well, and they know that already. It's the very reason to why we do not see them, and we do not see it going on right now. And if they have walking among us, they got to look like us really, really well. They really got to look like us in order to pass through. And I think that's something that we want to pretty much look at as well. So with that being said, how do we do it? Well, maybe at this point we don't do it, but they definitely are having an interest in making sure there's something there. In the meantime, as we get ready to get into our next part here, I just want to give you an opportunity to find more of me. Go to, Fox Tubi and find a movie Aliens, not Alien Endgame, but Roswell, the 75th anniversary. I'm in that show as one of the experts. Go over to Amazon Prime and you can see Bigfoot. Yes, I'm in that particular show, and as an expert, I'm also in I Want to Believe 2. If you don't get enough there, go over to the Discovery Plus channel, and then you can watch Alien Endgame. I'm in there as one of the hosts. There's 3 hosts in that particular one. And then also Forbidden Knowledge TV as well. Coast to Coast Radio, I was on there as well, featured. And then Ancient Aliens was pretty good. And I got some other shows that's coming up real soon, and I can't wait to be able to get those going and show you what's happening with those tonight as well. All right, so we'll move into the second segment of what we're talking about. And one part of this will be the fact that there's going to be there's a possible shock to society that I was just saying. And what would that be? Well, people wouldn't understand it. I think people will probably try to harm the extraterrestrial. People will try to hunt them down. We already see Bigfoot and what's going on with Bigfoot and what's been happening there for ages. And people are just not really definitely taking that to point. But we can get into more of the details of that, though, if we want to talk about if you as an individual have had dreams that you could have had some type of pregnancy. Now, there's been reports, and I'm just going to go off on a huge limb over here, of people saying they was pregnant, and then all of a sudden they wasn't pregnant, and they don't even know what happened. These are the stories, or the mystical stories, that they could have been pregnant, and then the extraterrestrials come and pick up the fetus and go. Now, don't think of it on a linear time, that their gestation would be 9 months. So how could it? But they have probably technology. All they need is the fetus. They can take it and put it in a place and allow it to grow. They have that technology. You know, most people report in their encounters that their body parts has been fixed. There's been a lot of different things that have happened. And so I don't think that that's not a possibility that this could go down, that they have the ability to do such a thing. And so why not? How come we can't think of the fact that these extraterrestrials? Now, we can consider there could be some benefits. There could be a lot of benefits of it, you know, in a heartbeat. There could be a lot of benefits of the extraterrestrials crossbreeding with humans. And again, life expectancy. You're talking disease. You're talking some of these things that we're dealing with out there. You know, one of the biggest things is cancer, and you know, they could cure all of those things. Now, that's where the other issue comes in. Could that happen? Could they find a cure for a lot of this stuff and then present it to the human race? Probably not, because we already know the big secret keepers ain't going for that, because there is a faction of aliens that do run our society. They do run our governments. They're embedded within the wealth of this country because they have a lifestyle, and whatever that is, they're living it too. And so that is not going to happen, although it could happen to a Pacific species that they are, you know, being cured of different diseases or different things like that. And now we can move into religious background. Now we go there, it messes everything up. There will be no way. Now, I will say this. The Vatican has already been reported that they have called in religious scholars all over the world. They did this last year. And in the reason for them to do this was because they wanted to get the heads up on the fact that if an extraterrestrial was to present themselves, then they already know that society number one question would be, who is your God? And then once they know that is going on, then they have to be able to try to maintain societal deity, the whole ball of wax of all religion, that it doesn't break down, because it is religion and not laws that is controlling the universe from chaos or the world, because there are certain things that people are called that they live by that does not have them to do things that I think is pretty interesting. So it's one of those things that you have to consider. And so therefore, there's a lot of implications in all of that. And man, I'm telling you, it is crazy when it comes down to the religious side of it. See, that's going to be the biggest part of disclosure, besides medical advancement, besides technology. It's going to be the religious factor. And that is going to be terrible when it comes down to how people perceive it, how people address these things, and how they want to consider from the public, do they respect governments? Because you can imagine if one alien was to tell somebody, oh, well, you know, our God is named Generod, you know, not that, see, it's a difference between God existing, which we know there has got to be a creator without a shadow of a doubt. We just did spontaneous combustion here, right? There has to be a creator. There is. All right. But all the religions definitely have their own roadmap to where and who that is. But at some point, the truth could also be as dangerous as anything else. And if we think people, because more wars are fought over religion, as we know right now, we all know this. But if you think that it would be a bigger chaotic moment if they were to reveal that the God that you pray to And I and others, no matter what religions that you hold, beliefs, does not exist. Where do you think it will take us then? Because at this point, there is going to be a crazy movement, because now you're talking about the whole history gets wiped out, the belief system gets wiped out, all of just everything. That is probably, now we have to imagine the imaginability of the fact that they are higher intelligence at some point. Why would they step on an ant nest? Why would you do it? You would know what happens if you stepped on an ant nest, right? You know what would happen. If you stepped on an ant nest, then you already know the challenges and what that would be when this happens. It ain't gonna be no joke, and it's not gonna be pretty, not even close. People fight, ants fight, they sting, they do so many different things that it is crazy when it happens. And so therefore, once again, it is something that you have to consider, we have to think about, and want to pretty much from there. I want you to, once again, think about the government disclosure side of this. And now you can probably understand that this is part of the fight of disclosure. Why would they want to expose the truth when you're talking about religion, money, power, medical? I mean, all of the things that you can think of. Why would they want to do so? And you could probably think of some of yourself. While we're sitting here saying, I want the truth. I want the truth. Well, they're not going to do that. And don't get me wrong, if all of us knew, well, not all of us, let's just say we had a think tank of a few of us, and if we knew what the truth was, would we even bother to go down that road and want to know what is truly happening if they tell you the truth, that it could tear up society, it can tear up a few things? Is it something that we want to know? And with that being said, I need to promote a few things real quick to you about the show. Now, I talk to you all the time about survival gear, having a bug out bag, being able to be on the move if necessary, or in case of a storm or something in particular. Now, I speak this from the heart because back in 2015 or whatever, there was a tornado hit the area that I lived in South Dallas area, DeSoto area, and I lost everything. Now, there was a lot of stuff that I learned from that event, and since then I've always been a prepper. But now, because I'm in the UFO, disclosure, all of this, I'm more than just a prepper. I'm preparing for whatever. And when I say this, and this is something that you want to really think about. Like over here is my little bug out bag. I have one. In here is water. I'm just sharing this with you. It's water that I can drink. Now, this is for a family of 4. So I at that time, and I got 4 of these, one in the car, one in each car, and then at the house, the office, and so I'm prepared anywhere I go. And it got tablets. If you was out there having some muddy water, you can put some of these tablets in here and they'll purify the water. Yep, you're talking masks, you're talking, everything you can think of, lights, batteries, and everywhere. You want to be prepared with your bug out bag. And I am now an ambassador of this particular company here, and I want you to know. So go to preparednesslife.com right now. They just actually getting started with some great products and great prices. You can get your bug out bag. You can get different qualities of bug out bags, meaning if it's for a family of 4, a family of 2, family of 3, or maybe it's just for you, maybe it's for the dog. You can do all of this, and I'm telling you, you got camouflage if you're going to go out in the wilderness. Then you have the red ones. The red ones are good because if someone's search and rescue, they want to be able to know and see you if you're out somewhere. And there's a lot of reasons that you want this, and I say this all-hearted. I used to do trainings. I used to go out and teach people how to make sure they prep in their house, all of these things. This was 5 or 6 years ago, and ever since then. But now, because of some things that I know, everybody needs to be prepared for some of this crap in the future. get your bug out bag, get you a survival kit bag or whatever you want to call it to you, your family. And then the last part I want to give you before we move into our third segment here, make sure that you plan something. If you got children in the house, and I know a lot of you don't have what I'm about to say, period. If you got children in the house right now and they was at school, you was at work or somewhere else, and there was some catastrophe happen or some, God forbid, some craziness, then, or tornadoes, where will y'all all meet? That's number one training I used to do. You all need to go and get those kids together and discuss, not somebody's house, a location, saying, I don't care if it take them hours to get there, but you say, if anything happened, we are going to meet at this bowling alley or this grocery store or this place, so that you know where to go find your children instead of running to the schools, especially if you go there and they're not there. And then you already know they already triggered. They know where they're going, and you all know to meet up. And that is something that is your plan, number one. Number two, one of the lessons that I learned, always have some slippers or tennis shoes by your bed, because when that tornado hit and tore our house up completely, there was glass everywhere, and we were sleeping right before we sleeping. So you talking bloody feet, the whole 9 yards, so that you can get and you can walk and you can do that. So let's get back to the show, so we can continue and get on with where we're going to go. And I just wanted to share that with you. And once again, you can visit preparednesslife.com. Get your bug out bag. Takes about a week for them to ship it out. It'll be worth it, and it's life-saving. I'm telling you, and I'm not making this stuff up. And I'm not just trying not to be more conspiratorial about it, but I will say there's people in here, they already know. They know to get this. Another part real quickly, we have our High Strangeness hotline. It's 24 hours. If you want to share a high strange moment, and that could be paranormal, it could be ghosts, it could be UFOs. It's answered 24 hours a day the voicemail is 24 hours a day. Usually I'm one of the people that answer it throughout the day, sometime 3 o'clock in the morning. The calls are recorded so that if I'm asking questions, I can go back over and do the notes. We got calls last night, pretty soon, not pretty soon, but we got calls all last week. People just calling in, and you will be surprised some of the things that's happening out there. So I will definitely tell you to make sure that you get and keep that number in your phone as one of the contacts. Share it with other people so that we can understand what is happening pretty much. Or, just kind of share things, right? And that's be something that I would love to do, for us to kind of share what is happening and what is going on there. Yeah, I mean, this bug out bag has everything you could want, blankets, you name it, pretty much. I can say it'll definitely do that. All right, so let's get into our third segment and final segment, really, because we're just hitting this thing pretty quick tonight and going to talk about some stuff. This has always been about the future of disclosure. No doubt about it. It's always been the future of disclosure. And one of the things that most people don't know, and I've said it in many occasions, is, do you really want disclosure? Do people really want disclosure? Now, disclosure can mean you finding out that the extraterrestrials, or could even possibly, once again, time. And it's not nothing new that this goes on, but it is a concern. It is a real huge concern when it comes down to the fact that people these days do not focus on what is happening in the time and how things are moving forward. Now, we can talk about technology, We can talk about how we want to increase public awareness. I'm one of those channels. My goal is to, especially in the African American community and indigenous community, is to spread the word through Project Black because it is real. And I truly believe, and I've said it and I'll continue to say it, that we will be totally hit in the head like a brick if they was to show tomorrow and said, hey, here's the aliens. Everybody that's doing all this other stuff in our communities not paying attention will be just so messed up, especially those who are, I'm talking those who are dug into some of our religious factions, that demons and angels. So could you imagine if they disclosed a demon to you? What are you talking about? Could you imagine if they disclosed a demon to people? Although it's an extraterrestrial, it's just how they're seeing it, right? The religions. Do you know what would happen in their homes at night out? This thing would be totally off the roof. If they turn around and say, we have an extraterrestrial, but your vision, all that you were taught, your ideology, everything that you know, that life doesn't exist beyond this realm or interdimensional or out in the galaxy, wherever you want to call it, and you start saying to yourself that this could be a demon, you would probably go bananas. A lot of people go bananas. This is the reason. I'm not saying to go against your faith and what you're saying. I'm telling you that they exist, and some of these people they're going to label as or extraterrestrial as demons. I don't want you to be affected that way. I don't want your family or friends who don't understand what is happening and that it is happening. It's on modern day news right now. Tucker Carlson's talking about it. CNN is doing specials. News Nation is doing specials. They all are revealing the fact that something is happening. So we're past the point that UFOs are real. We passed that. That used to be the joke years ago. Oh, UFOs, what is that? No, they're past that point. They're now saying UFOs are real. Okay, and let me clarify that for you scholars. Anything flying around in our sky that we don't know what it is a UFO. Any unidentified flying object. However, not all UFOs flying around are aliens because we have multinational corporations that have technology, the military. We have all these companies testing new technology all the time. And a perfect way to hide it from the public is to camouflage it as a UFO because we didn't see the new technology from Raytheon or McDonnell Douglas. We saw a UFO. We didn't see this new flying craft that Jeff Bezos and them has just created. We saw a UFO. However, make no mistake about it, all aliens drive UFOs when they come around, though. Okay? So that's the parallel side of this that I want you to understand that they exist. They exist. Now, I do want to employ more people to explore this stuff, especially when it comes down to you understanding. So I'm going to be doing a lot of videos in the future, sharing with you some of the investigative techniques that I do. In most cases, when I get film or when I do stuff for MUFON, we analyzing photos, videos, and I'll start training the public to be those agents of the skies, of the ground. And you could then see something for yourself and go through the fun of doing it. Some stuff I'll do in course fashion. Other stuff I'm just going to throw it out through the show when I'm doing it. Hey, here's a resource. Here's something to check the weather so you can know. And one of the things is to check the weather because all the time I'll get somebody to say, well, you know, I saw a UFO. And I'll say, well, how high up? Oh, man, it was way up there, 30,000. And I saw it. And then they tell me the date and time. They don't know. We have resources that I can put into a system. And they'll give me the wind speed, the cloud cover, the exact ratio from the sun, where you are. And I can look and see that, man, it was a cloud cover at 10,000 square feet. You couldn't even see a freaking 747. But they saw it. And it was 30,000 feet in the air, right? So we don't ever tell people we know because that's not, most people are dreaming about it. But I'm going to train you. And if that's something you want, put it in the chat in the future. Let me know. Otherwise, I won't waste my time. and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But if that's the case, that's fine. Make sure you smash and hit the like button. Please do. Make sure you smash and hit this like button, and definitely, if you're watching us from Rumble right now, make sure you do that. If you're watching us on Facebook, come over to YouTube as well and subscribe. If you are also on Twitter right now and subscribe to Twitter, come over to the YouTube and watch some of the older videos. All right, so let me finish up here a little bit. Another part of this that I want to discover for you and talk about will be some of the efforts out there that organizations are advocating for disclosure. We hear MUFON, right? We hear, Norfolk. You got other people like Jeremy Cabell. You have, all of different journalists. You got congressmen. There's a lot of huge push for disclosure. Where they're not getting the most push is from the public. Some of us are still on the fence line. We're still sitting there, and we're there just, watching from the bleachers. We're not in the game, okay? We're not in the game. We're just in the bleachers, and it's time for you to get in the game, because if the public begins to also apply more pressure than it already is, then the puppet masters, who sometimes know that they got to follow the mob, which is considered us being the mob, then they got to begin the process to bring more information out. And now they're still going to do this in a delicate fashion, of course. And so that's something that I would think that we would definitely have to pay more attention to and be careful. And I've said it before, on what we really want from these people. And that is something that we have to do. Now, another part of this would be to go more into who's going to be accountable if we start finding out that there's life around us, okay? Especially if these extraterrestrials are now really moving things up a little bit, and where they are it is something for us to think about when they're doing their hybrid programs, and why would they do it. Now, you got to remember that we signed a treaty back in the 40s and 50s, Eisenhower, with an alien extraterrestrial group that showed up over Earth, and they came down, made a deal that they were giving permission to be able to do this type of work. Now, in the first part of this was that they bring you back unharmed and wipe your memory. But then we also found out years later that the treaty was broken. Because how do we know that? Is because there were some people that don't come back when they got abducted by aliens. There are some people who are not in good graces when they come back, or from these experiences mentally, both physically. You got Whitley Strieber, go get his book Communion. He tell you they probed him, and they did not probe him, through this way. They went that way, okay? And so this is something that people are talking about. Now, we can go back to the beginning of Betty and Barney Hill. We can go back to all of the abduction stories. There are some. And so you're going to have a faction of people who's going to say, well, they brought me back, or the extraterrestrials are nice, or they are friendly, however you want to put it, either which way. But the other part of this is the fact that their treaty is broken. They're taking people. Now, you want to really think about something, go back to history when you think about the Mayan calendar and all of this, when a whole civilization just freaking disappeared. Remember, the clock stopped, and now you go back and you see the Mayan ruins, but you don't see any remnants of these people. And when 2012 was supposed to be the date as well, it stopped. Their calendar stopped at 2012, right? And so that's supposed to be the end of the world. Well, it was just nobody there to update it anymore. Hint, hint. They wasn't there to update it. Ain't that some craziness when it comes down to that? That no one's there to update it. And so therefore that's been pretty trippy once it go from there. So I think that we really need to start considering the fact that it's happening. Now, where we're going to go with this is kind of, if you got any questions a little bit, you want to put in the chat, I'll put them up on the screen as we conclude here in this third segment. And we're doing some faster shows now. We're going to be out of here in a few moments as well. But what I want to know is if you got any questions, and is there anyone out in the chat right now who have dreams that you possibly could have had some type of alien abduction of yourself? Or during this abduction, now you've seen reflections of possible hybrid babies, you know, and oftentimes, sometimes they come back and abduct the mothers or fathers of these children, take them to the spaceship to meet their children, because those babies there also want to know who their parents are. A lot of dreams are reported this way, that they went back, they saw the children, they know who they are, that they have had an opportunity to meet them. This happens all the time. And so therefore, it's one of the things from there. Your sound is too low, hard to hear you. So y'all saying my sound is too low? Yes or no? I saw something in the chat. I don't really look at it a lot. I'm just waiting. I can hear you loud and clear, someone said. Thank you, Queen. All right. And anyone else? Give me a sound check. Sound check, please. Give me a sound check. And that will be good. All right. So Rita says she can hear. All right. All right. So, all right. Well, we're good. We are good. All right. So once again, if you find it any value in the show tonight, if you want to support the show, as you see scrolling down at the bottom, there is a way you can support the show. Two ways. You can actually want to contribute to the show via Cash App, or you can go over to highstrangenessapparel.com and get you some High Strange gear that will be shipped out from a company. They'll send it right out to you. And there's a lot of little stuff you can pick from, shirts and different stuff, hats, coats, mugs. And you can go to highstrangenessapparel.com. And so if you want to support the show. But of course, if you want to support via Cash App, you can definitely do that as well. Now, with that being said, we are about to get out of here. I just wanted to come in and do a quick show for you tonight and hit some things. I'm working on a little more content for you for the future. We're going to do some things. My question is for you, do you want a 5-day-a-week show, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or how much of it do you want? Because I'm prepping for 2024. I got plans to do every day if we have to, and then we can do that, or we can do pretty much. And I want to thank Sonia for the contribution. Appreciate you. I mean, what do y'all think? Do we want a daily, and let's say daily, Monday through Friday, or could we do some other stuff, And so those are things that I want to think about. One time was, okay, so y'all having your own chats. You're not even thinking about me. They're having their own chat right now, which is cool. I want y'all to do that. Let me put that up here. Boom. And there you go. So there's the chats up on the screen there so that we all can see it and pretty much from there. And all right, I want to also thank Maisha for the contribution. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you. So what do y'all think? 5 days a week? That'll be at 8 o'clock. I had to change today to 8:30 because I upload to Prevent Knowledge at 8 o'clock, and so therefore those two start times could, unless it was a live stream, then I'll let you know we're here on both of them together. But in the meantime, we can do that. Yeah, we can do some open mics if I can get people prepared to come on stage. Where we can do that in advance. I'm loving it, and I love to do that as well. And to make sure that we have the quality content. We would do that normally on Freaky Fridays. We'll have some Project Black days where we'll be interviewing a lot of people and specialists and people talking about this thing more deeper. In fact, Project Black has his own YouTube channel, and so we'll be streaming from both here to there to start adding content toward it when we do. And so that's something that I'll look forward to as well. 5 days a week is so much. Don't overwhelm yourself. I understand it, but I Monday, Wednesday, Friday was going to be the days, or it would have been Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe off on Friday, because I plan to get my life back this year and maybe go to the movies on a Friday, maybe go out and, just kick it a little bit, and not that I don't want to hang with y'all on Friday nights, but I didn't have nothing to do. I'm not doing anything but focusing on the show, which is a great focus, by the way. But in the meantime, my goal now is to get life back in order, and I want to go. And I tell you what, if you're talking about movies real quick before we go, Sounds of Freedom, I watched last night and I cried. Yeah, I'm a full grown ass man. That was about kid trafficking, which they're saying today is a $15 billion market. And another part of that is United States is the #1 destination for trafficking, meaning they're bringing them here. We need to find those fuckers. We need to find all of those people who if you looking at me, you into that, we're going to find you. This is, man, way they treat these kids 6 years old, girls, boys, full grown. I'm telling you, if you don't have a stomach for it, don't watch it. And it's a true story. Sounds of Freedom. Man, I watched it last night. It is incredible. Very incredible. Jarrell said he'll be my bodyguard. Jarrell, you say you was in Dallas area, right? If I'm not correct. And we've been planning on doing get-togethers here in Dallas quite some time, and I haven't done that. But I do need to do it if I get more people here in Dallas. I know y'all spread it out all over the place. And there was a park here we was going to use a few months ago, but then winter is hit. But this spring, we're definitely going to plan getting out, getting people together to meet people, and pretty much. So we're going to be doing that as well. I want to hear more of the chat. Real talk. Don't have the stomach, but I know it's, yeah. All right. Well, at this point, it's been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. And like I said, make sure you get your bug-out bags. Go there tonight. And find you, even if you got a cat or dog, you want to be prepared. There's there on Preparedness Life and pretty much do that. All right, Jarrell, okay, so you're in Dallas. So send me an email. I think we done said this before, so I'll reach out one more time. And if you have, forgive me if I didn't see it, contact@whythebigsecret.com. That's the email address, contact@whythebigsecret.com. Put in your number and pretty much. I'll be coming to Florida pretty soon. I'll head over I didn't get to Billy's house for New Year's Eve. They had a party there, but we'll be doing some stuff coming up in a few months. So I'll be heading back out to the Carson's King, or their castle, I should say, for show. And we'll be pretty much doing that. M. Thomas says she's in Dallas as well. Okay, so send me your information, contact@whythebigsecret.com. I'll reach out over the next day or so. I'll put us a group chat together or something, and then we can all start moving some stuff. I would love to move to Hawaii. That is on my dream list, to just have a bungalow right there on the beach or something, man. But I heard that, y'all getting all these, not floods, but tsunamis. I don't know if y'all get tsunamis. Okay. All right. So with that being said, we out of here. It was just quick, and this is how we're going to be doing it. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here. And we will definitely touch bases. And again, support the show if you can. If you can't, support it with your time of being here. Share the videos. And your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. You have to think why. And also, I cannot go without saying to my haters, I got them. If you can hate me and you don't even know me, then I can love you without ever meeting you. And I don't want to meet you, but I do love you. And if you're a hater and you've been here more than times and you post comments over and over, I got a surprise for you. You're really a fan. Think about it.
Why did Ruby shoot us? Why did Ruby Was shoot there a us? Conspiracy? Was there a conspiracy? This bizarre sequence of double killings raised great questions. Who actually fired the shot? Who actually fired the shot?
Cattle found dead and the manner of their deaths are a real mystery.
Anyone who is concerned about lead in the drinking water and fled.